Over the last 3 seasons, NASCAR has had tremendous growth and change, its popularity soaring, and interest in the public eye reaching new limits. However, change was on the horizon. NASCAR had become unhappy with its current Cup Series format. The 400-point threshold it had hoped to add on average an additional 2 to the chase each year had failed to add a single driver through the first 3 seasons. Winning had also seemed to not gain as much of a benefit as what they originally were hoping it would. Through the 3 chases, the champion had won a combined 2 races during the 10 race runs. And in total aspect of the season, the champion had never been the most winningest driver in the year. It was clear to NASCAR things needed to change. Gone was the 400-point threshold, and a simplified hard cut at the 12th place spot. Drivers would also be seated on wins solely, and not points positions by chase. Each win garnered you 10 additional points, making it crucial to claim victories throughout the season. On top of the format changes, car changes were also aplenty. NASCAR's Car Tomorrow swept through the sport with varying opinions, contrasting from abject hate to absolute indifference. 5 races in this year's chase would be run with a COT: Loudon, Dover, Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix, making this chase the host to the last ever Cup races with the iconic Generation 4 stock car. A new era was starting, one that nobody was prepared for.
Take a look at our starting grid.
For the 4th time in as many years, New Hampshire Motor Speedway hosts the opening event of the chase. The record 12-driver chase field is led by the reigning champion of Jimmy Johnson. Coming off of back-to-back wins, the Chad Knaus-led team has already eclipsed the amount of wins they had last year. And now, starting 4th today, they have a sturdy 20-point lead over the best driver of the season consistently, his teammate, Jeff Gordon. Gordon has put up not only one of the best seasons in the chase era, one of the best seasons in NASCAR history. Whilst he only has 4 wins on the year, his 21 top 10s in 26 races sets a pace that, if carried into the chase, would set a modern era record. 3rd is Tony Stewart, winner of this year's Brickyard 400, and the closest driver on pace to Gordon heading into the chase. Stewart is able to actually compete in the championship this year, something he was unable to do last season. He'll be going for his 3rd championship in as many formats, and if he is able to do what he did last year as a chase spoiler, he'll be one tough competitor for this year's championship race. 4th is another driver returning to the chase after a previous year absence as well, Carl Edwards. He leads the Roush charge after a relatively quiet regular season. The 5 teams have struggled with their COT platform, and are weary of having 5 races with the new car in the chase. It makes them feel that they need to capitalize on the 5 Gen 4 races. Tied with them is Kurt Busch, the first chase winner. Kurt is in for attempt number 3, and it is the best seeding in his chase career. He's hoping to carry the 2 Penske teams to their first ever Cup Series championship. Just in front of him in 2nd today is 6th place seeded driver Martin Truex Jr., making his chase debut. Martin claimed his first ever victory earlier this season at Dover, the same day NASCAR lost Bill France Jr., adding a tone of sombrance to Truex's breakout race. He has charged the chase with the deflating DEI, as they lose the sport's most popular drivers of the Hendrick 88 car for 2008. Mechanical failures have been their woe, but if they can dodge those, Martin Truex Jr. has by far enough speed to contend in this year's chase. Behind him is Kyle Busch, winner of the first COT race and his lone victory 2007. The team has felt that they are much more than just a single-win team, and Kyle has been making waves, leaving the sanctity of his Hendrick job to go to Joe Gibbs Racing in the 18, always under the persistent questioning of how good of a teammate will he actually be to his 3 Hendrick counterparts. 8th is Matt Kenseth, coming in with a new mentality. Gone are his slow rides, and new is an all-attack mindset by him, approaching each race with the idea he has to get the lead as fast as possible. It will be a contrast of what he's accustomed to, but it will be the last chase with the familiar voice of Robbie Reiser in his ear. Robbie will step down from the box into the GM role at Roush, leaving behind one of the best pit crews and driver crew combinations in the sport. 9th is sophomore driver Denny Hamlin. The 11th team has been great again this year, motoring the 3rd JGR team in prime position to try and win the chase in only their second season together. Just need that edge that got them that chance at Homestead last year to rise up again. 10th is Kevin Harvick, winner of this season's Daytona 500. It was impossibly one of the most awe-inspiring finishes in the race's history, and Kevin since then has been okay, not being good enough to win again since the 500, but good enough to slot himself into his second consecutive chase. And behind them in points in 11th is Jeff Burton. This group is solely based on momentum. They have their lone win at Texas in the spring, and with a poor run at Richmond, they hope Burton's best track in Loudon will give them that big push for the following races in the chase, as they try and march to Burton's first title. And finally, the last chaser, the only chaser with no win in 2007, or in his career, the pole sitter for today, Clint Bowyer. Clint has been somewhat disrespected, with people saying that his spot should have gone to Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it wasn't for the 8 mechanical failures, he wouldn't even be here. And some even argue just the fact that he has no wins in his career is enough reason for him to be removed from the chase. Bowyer has come in with a mentality that he has nothing to lose and everything to gain. A mentality that got Denny Hamlin to Homestead last year. As the field rolls off, each chaser holds their breath from the fear of having what might happen. All 3 chases has seen the chasers' hopes slashed in the first 40 laps here, and today the 12 chasers are all led to green by the man nobody thinks should belong here. The start of the 4th chase.
Fans on their feet. Here they come with a green flag.
Bowyer is first to grab bonus points as he leads lap 1. Whilst Truex and Kurt initiate an argument for second, Kevin Harvick shows early pace racing towards the lap 35 competition caution. Early on back in the pack, Jeff Gordon is struggling to move forward, squabbling with J.J. Yeley for 18th. Eventually he clears and Kurt grabs second back from Truex as they continue their fight, bringing Stewart in. As Martin drops back all the way to 5th now with Harvick, Gordon fights Jeff Burton, passing him and breaking into the top 15. Kenseth is doing the same, passing the franchise and kicking smoke up in the process. Many if not all are expelling this smoke from the back of their cars. It's coming from the new car's splitter, bottoming out under braking. Many of the teams still have not adjusted to these new front ends. As Bowyer starts lapping cars, Gordon is up to 13th, attacking Sadler for 12th. As they cross past lap 30, Bowyer has surmounted a 2-second lead over Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart is 3rd, and it holds till the comp yellow where many charge down pit lane for the very first adjustments. Many of these changes come with air pressure, attempting to get those bulletproof splitters off the ground. Bowyer holds his lead with Sadler up to 2nd with a 2-tire stop, and Kenseth follows suit in strategy as well. The race rekindles on lap 40, with the tinder of the fire being an instant attack on the 19 by both Stewart and Kurt Busch. Sadler becomes a roadblock, causing distress to Truex the most, as he pushes the one through the field with him. Kenseth is on the prowl, as Hamlin suffers in the mid-pack, making all sorts of contact with various cars. As the 10 car slows due to Regan Smith running him over, chasers Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin reconvene in the mid-pack. Elliott Sadler soon falls back to them, as he has suffered much worse than Matt Kenseth has on those 2 tires. Matt has only lost 1 spot since restarting 9th, and ahead of him is Jeff Gordon, beginning a challenge at the 12 car for 7th. It is interrupted by a caution, however. Ward Burton has gone around right in front of the leader, Clint Bowyer, and now everybody comes down pit road again. Harvick reports that he has worked tight over the run, and he needs some help. His teammate, meanwhile, is toppled from the lead due to Stewart, Gordon, and Newman all taking 2 tires. Tony leads on lap 72 restart, and Bowyer immediately gets on it. In a spectacle not seen since Supernova 1054 in 11th century Europe, Ryan Newman lets Clint Bowyer by for position, and now he sprints to the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. Resistance is futile, and now Clint is lurking behind Big Orange. As it stands 100 laps in, Stewart holds a 15-point lead over Jeff Gordon in standings. But as of now, that is practically meaningless. The 20 eventually has lap times come back to them, and it begins to actually pull away from the 07. A trio of chasers race in the pack. Hamlin, Kenseth, and Kyle all fight one another, with Denny beginning to hit the speed cliff. He falls through the field, which during this time, Bowyer finally gets the lead in lap traffic from Tony Stewart, and Carl Edwards emerges towards the front, passing Kurt Busch. Kurt begins to lose speed, and quick. He reports the Blue Deuce is now down a cylinder. Whilst finding the corners, the car is mossed on straightaway speed. Before the situation can develop any further, Kevin Harvick makes an untimely pit stop. He has cut a tire and preemptively starts the pit cycle. Elliott Sadler loses it on pit entry, but no yellow comes out, and lets the sequence continue. Biffle, Johnson, then Carl, Matt Kenseth is up next. They're all reporting 2 loose off. The 40 car during this stalls and provides a precarious situation with the crew pushing him down the pit lane whilst the green flag cycle continues. An onslaught come in. Stewart, Gordon, Burton, and then Bowyer. He takes all 4 tires and he's off. Hamlin comes in and the 40 is still in the way on pit lane. And then Casey Mears. Right at halfway, the caution finally comes out at the end of the cycle, and it gives the 2 crew time to look at the engine. They hope it's something as simple as a plug wire, and not a broken component, which could lead to terminal detonation. Just past halfway, the race restarts. Bowyer's still ahead, and Hamlin fights in 13th with Casey Mears. As Denny loses the short run speed he has, a caution due to Dave Blaney bails him out of it again. Everyone comes down, and almost nothing changes but the top 4, who all stay out. Kyle Busch now leads the field, with Casey Mears in 2nd, Reed Sorensen 3rd, and Kevin Harvick 4th. The race restarts on lap 168, and a heart stopper ensues with the non-stoppers.
Talks on the radio to try to get it fixed. Got this thing up front right now. Alan, what's going on with the 2 car down there?
Oh, Rusty, one of the problems they're having right now is the cautions haven't been very long. Just minor spins, no oil, no debris to pick up. So about the time they get caught up, oh, trouble.
All right, we didn't hit nothing. Nobody hit us yet. Just stop right there. Get it running. Make sure we get her started here.
Bill Elliott involved in the 21 car. We were just talking about.
Look at the front end.
I'm sorry, Kenny Schrader in the 21 car.
As dodgy camera work obscures us of what actually occurred, it's apparent that somehow it ended alright for all chasers, and now we're back to restarting on lap 173. Kyle still holds the lead with Mears in 2nd and Harvick in 3rd. The leader's brother, meanwhile, is having mixed results with fixing the issue. Sometimes the Blue Deuce has speed, and other times it dies out. What isn't mixed is how fast Clint Bowyer is. He streaks past the 29, and then another caution. Dale Jr. is around, and nobody decides to come down, and a quick cleanup leads to another restart on lap 184. Still, it's a Hendrick 1-2 with the 2 least likely candidates. But Bowyer wants to crack that stranglehold. Harvick, meanwhile, is regretting his previous decisions, and Gordon, Johnson, and Stewart all trounce him. As Harvick fades, Bowyer regains the lead, and then caution. Dave Blaney has decided to wreck yet again, leading to another restart, and this time the broadcast is missing it. As we come back, Gordon and Stewart commence a battle for 4th, Tony eventually winning that battle, and now Newman wants by the 24 as well. Johnson arrives at the scene and passes Newman, which leads to the 1 and 17 also getting involved. The 48 crew riding off the high of the day yesterday when they decided to go white water rafting, stating that the Escapade made them a stronger unit and was a better team building exercise than just running more practice. Johnson's teammate meanwhile battled for position with Gordon getting by Mears. Jimmy follows Jeff, and now Truex wants by the 25 as well. The current point situation sees Jimmy Johnson's lead by 15 over Stewart, and Gordon tied with him. And now we progress under 80 laps to go. Kyle Busch is shocked by how green it's gone, nearly running the car out of gas, hoping for a yellow. Busch eventually relents as Stewart and Gordon race again. With 73 laps left, Bowyer laps past Kyle's brother Kurt, and Kenseth begins the final cycle of the day with Stewart following. Edwards, Gordon, and now Harvick all shoot down pit lane as well. And it's Jeff Burton, the quietest chaser, and it's not for a good reason. He's been abysmal today, hoping to just run top 20, and he's gotten a good piece of the wall as well. His teammate Bowyer is in and off with 4 tires, and Truex stays out and grabs 5 bonus points, and then he slides it down to the pit lane. Strategy seems to be all over the place now, but it does cycle out. Kyle Busch comes out 4th, with Bowyer holding steady at the front. As the race works toward the final portions, Bowyer is carving through the field, lapping Jeff Burton and pulling more distance on 2nd. We pace under 25 to go, where not much of anything has changed at all. All 43 cars run on track at this point, which if it stays would be the first time in history all 43 cars actually finish the race. Hamlin and Edwards race for 14th, but we run into the final 20 laps, uneventful. Johnson works into the top 5 and Bowyer laps Harvick. As Jimmy runs in the front, the news of his friend Colin McRae's helicopter accident permeates through the garage. Colin McRae was a legend of motorsports. He was pivotal in countless racers' lives. And as Johnson rides with 6 other chasers all defining the top 7, Bowyer takes the white flag in New Hampshire.
The next car is up our back, just stay right there.
Yeah, Mike Dillon doesn't want him to get in trouble here with this lap traffic on the last lap.
Do not pass him. That's about the only time you hear a spotter say, don't pass somebody. Just stay there. And Clint needs to do that.
Clint Bowyer, 28 years of age, realizing a dream. His 64th career start. He is 2 turns away from that first Cup victory.
Get your zone on, boys! Woohoo! Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Woo! Way to go, boy! Way to go, boy! Woo!
Clint Bowyer puts a waterfall on the flame of doubt that was cast on him before the chase. Jeff Gordon comes home second. Stewart, Kyle, and Truex all outline the top 5, with the only chasers having serious issues being Kurt in 25th and Burton in 18th. Bowyer during his celebration actually runs out of gas, and as he walks to victory lane, all 12 chase drivers sit relatively comfortable after one race, being possibly the least eventful chase race we have ever seen. The Monster Mile lays host to the second race of the chase, one that sees Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon tied coming in for the championship lead. Tony Stewart sits only 10 back, and last week's winner Clint Bowyer sits dead last on the grid. He had to make it in on a points provisional this week, after crashing in qualifying. Perhaps the most humbling thing after winning your first career race. And Jimmy Johnson sits on the pole for today, with rookie Juan Pablo Montoya to his outside. The 42 is the only non-chaser in the top 5, as we see the second race of the 4th chase go green.
Race for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Field number 43 comes down to the green flag as Jimmy Johnson leads him down.
Johnson is able to clear and lead lap 1, but Denny Hamlin murks him through 1 and 2, taking it away from the 48. Denny has been fighting a sickness all week, but woke up this morning feeling good, and actually he jogged for 3 miles. His car feels great in the lead, and Martin Truex Jr. slots in 3rd. This is the track that he won at earlier this season, and quickly the 42-1 Pablo Montoya falls back to 8th place. As Hamlin imitates what he does in the Busch race yesterday by pulling away from the field, Tony Stewart sits in muddied waters, fighting in the mid-pack. Gordon, meanwhile, is already up to 21st from his 28th starting spot. And Matt Kenseth is flying past cars. That is until Johnny Sauter smashes the wall, and we go on to our first caution. David Gilliland was the perpetrator, totaling the 70 car, and after a speedy cleanup, the race restarts on lap 17. Johnson takes a glance, but Hamlin holds steady. And then caution is out quick again, as Ken Schrader spins. This time, Reed Sorensen hooked him. And the stack-up gave chaser Jeff Burton minor rear-end damage. As he continues to roam among the mid-packers, the race restarts again on lap 24. Johnson's under fire now from Matt Kenseth, as it takes a lap for him to work past Johnson as he wiggles and weaves. Kurt Busch now heats up the 48, along with Harvick, and meanwhile Gordon punches into the top 15. Kenseth with 2nd place runs the 11 down, and by lap 50, Jeff Gordon has worked his way up to 8th. Johnson has fallen back to 6th, and Jeff Burton gets lapped. Caution comes out for debris, and yes, this is real debris, and it immediately gives the lucky dog to Jeff Burton. Johnson falls to 9th on the pit stops, as Hamlin, Kenseth, Harvick, and Kurt Busch lead the field to green on the restart. Kenseth is immediately on Denny this time, and the two are pulling away from the field together. They go at it, reminiscent of last year's battle between Kenseth and Burton. But caution comes out to interrupt this battle by Ken Schrader dumping Kyle Petty. Again, Jeff Burton was on scene, and the field comes down pit lane again. Many took 4, but Kurt, Biffle, Mears, and Carl Edwards all took 2 tires. The move gained back track position Carl lost on the last stops. It was when Jeff Gordon blocked him in his box, and Carl on the radio relayed a frustrated message to his crew. From the caution, Ken Schrader, who dumped Petty, gets the lucky dog, And also under the yellow, one of Michael Waltrip's crewmen gets struck by an airborne tire that was hit by David Reagan. He's alert, but he might have to be transported to a local hospital. The race restarts on lap 84, with Kenseth in the two-tire frenzy passing Hamlin, and then starts chopping his way through the slow cars. By lap 97, Kenseth has claimed the lead and begins building it. As the race chugs along, Bowyer plants himself in the 14th place spot. It's been a long but decent grind through the field, and he's determined to ensure themselves and others that last week was not a fluke. With 115 laps down now, Johnson still leads the points, but the top three are only separated by 21. Harvick in the mid-pack is wrestling the car, saying the race feels just like shooting a 900-pound elk. Difficult. As Jeff Burton dreads on in 27th, caution is out again to actually get the ambulance across the track. As it almost misses the turn off track, everyone comes down pit lane, with Kenseth winning the race off, and then Dale Jr. second, Busch third. The race restarts lap 153, as the top four spread out. Kurt and Jr. have a battle of the beers, and Harvick races Truex. Matt Kenseth at the front soon reports an issue. His alternator is failing. Whilst it shouldn't be a problem, it is still draining the battery, and it's estimated that it'll only last about 3 more hours. Through all this, Clint Bowyer is now 9th, and he's fighting 8th place. Kevin Harvick, though, all of a sudden comes down pit lane. He's reporting he has a loose wheel. They tighten the left rear and send it back out, and soon after, Johnson is slow. He has also hit the wall and has a right rear flat. As that situation develops, Tony Stewart gets lapped, still struggling with his car. As they run now, Kenseth has a 10-point lead over Bowyer in points. Gordon rides 11 back. And through all this, Jeff Burton finally cracks the top 20. Whilst we just had a flurry of chase drivers have issues, none surmount what's just about to happen.
Matt Kenseth. Now, Jeff Burton and this team, trouble on the racetrack as we're getting ready to talk about Burton's issues with the car of tomorrow, and we have an issue here with the 45 car of Kyle Petty.
The 11 just freaking ran all over you.
We see a little bit of damage right now in the right front fender of the 11. Now he's really got that thing in the wall. Going to have to work on it hard.
Hamlin is destroyed. He needs to go to the garage. Kyle Petty, meanwhile, is furious, and so is Clint Bowyer. Bowyer doesn't understand what Hamlin was doing. The 11 just ran over the 45, causing the accident, and he ruined the days of everybody involved. As repairs start, Kenseth, Kurt, Biffle, and Kyle all lead the race off pit lane, and they crash past halfway. The race restarts on lap 211. Johnson and Harvick still 2 laps down. And all of a sudden, a tussle in the garage. Denny Hamlin has gotten into a shoving match with members of the 45 crew. And in a matter of 15 minutes, Denny Hamlin has gone from running top 5 to shoving and shouting in the garage. It all started with Kyle Petty walking up and confronting Denny, and eventually slamming his visor shut. Denny got out and proceeded to make his own statements. And the race still runs green on track, with Jeff Gordon and Montoya fighting for 12th. Another caution comes out for McMurray blowing a tire and slapping the fence. It was from contact with Montoya, and now strategy diverges completely. Some pit and take just 2. Others 4, and Matt Kenseth actually stays out. Kyle Petty, meanwhile, rips off one heck of an interview.
We're about 10 feet from Kyle Petty's wrecked race car, which is being worked on right now by his crew. Kyle, you've been sitting here for a while thinking about it. You did have a chance to go over and talk with Denny. What do you believe happened on the racetrack, and what were you trying to communicate to him? What do you believe happened on the racetrack, and what were you trying to say to Denny?
Well, like I'll tell you, just like I told everybody, I guess it's my fault because I watched the Busch race and they said he was sick. So I guess whatever medicine he's taking makes him hallucinate because he needs 3 lanes to get around somebody on the racetrack because he just ran all over me. He was running 5th or 6th or wherever he was running. I'd let the leader by. I'd let the 2nd place guy by, the 3rd place guy. Thought I gave him plenty of room. The next thing I know, he's got me jacked up and turned around. So if that can be construed as my fault, I guess it's my fault.
You were very frustrated because you have a wrecked race car?
Well, I'm frustrated because we're racing for points. I know those guys are in a chase, but we're racing hard for the top 35, myself and Schrader, and I feel bad for the 22 team, the Caterpillar team of Blaney. They didn't even make the race this week. So when you look at it, there's a group of us that are racing for the other end, and I hate it, but there's 43 cars out here. And just like I said, if maybe he's a great race car driver. He drives really well. He's got tons of talent. Won more races than I have, I'll be honest with that. But at the same time, you know, if he can't drive but 500 miles and stay focused, maybe he needs to give up the Busch job on Saturday and focus on the Cup stuff, because obviously he's lost his focus today.
The race restarts with Kenseth still leading on lap 235. Johnson, who took 4 on that caution, races the hell out of the leaders, trying to get back one of his laps. All of a sudden, Harvick starts plummeting again, and he comes down the pit lane. With this, he is now over 4 laps behind the leader, and has realized he had cut down a right rear. Johnson eventually closes up and passes Matt, and with 140 to go, Carl starts chasing down his teammate. Kurt fades to 7th, and Burton is still rallying in 15th. Boyer, his teammate, is also fighting with his damage, barely top 20. And 20th is Tony Stewart, staying calm, stating to his crew that this race is going to come to them, they just have to wait. On lap 266, Kyle Edwards sprints by the 17. Now the points state that Edwards is only 1 point ahead of Matt, but soon he is under attack by a former Roush driver. Mark Martin is screaming through the field, up the second and by far the fastest car on track. And now Carl pits on lap 287. Matt comes in the next lap, and Mark Martin is officially the leader of the race. He charges into the final 100 laps as Gordon leads the points mid-cycle. Finally, with 90 left, Martin comes down. Greg Biffle takes the lead, and with 88 left, Tony comes down. The drivers that pit under 95 to go more than likely won't have to pit for the rest of the race, something many of the frontrunners before the cycle can't do. Under 85 left, Reed Sorensen leads, and eventually Edwards takes back his throne. The top 8 as they run are now within 31 points, and now the race is under 50 to go. As the speed comes back to the 01, caution is out for debris. Some come down the pit lane, and a Roush reunion sits at the front as we restart with under 40 to go. Kyle and Jr. race for the lucky dog, and all of a sudden, Kenseth reports, it's blowing up. Before that information can sink in, there's a crash. Tony Raines, John Andretti get torn up on the backstretch, and it's going to lead to yet another restart. The cleanup requires a red flag, and now, as they get ready to do another restart, Edwards and Martin duel.
4-time winner. They're going to shoot it out here in the final 27 laps as we go back to green.
Edwards gets a great jump into one.
And that's really key. With 28 laps to go, he needs to get that clean air and get out of there. Mark Martin's hung at the back right now behind Kyle Busch.
Had a little contact with Kyle Busch.
Coming out the back here now. Inside. Just stay up there. Just stay up there. You got a bunch of cars that come by. Just hold it down up there. Then they'll run up there.
Everything has come crashing down for Matt Kenseth. Yet again, issues at Dover plunge him to worry in the chase. It is his first engine failure since February of 2005, and now being on the threshold of elimination, the race restarts with 22 laps to go. The leaders clear and get ready to battle before another caution. Robbie Gordon just loses it, and now we have another restart with 16 laps left.
Well, the anniversary coming up in Kansas next week. Let's go green flag racing for 17 more laps here and make it 16 laps at the Monster Mile.
Mark Martin seeing if he can change that stat.
And this time he clears the lap car, Casey Mears. And he's zeroing in on the back of the 99 of Carl Edwards. And Edwards is so fast in these restarts, guys.
This is the best shot Mark Martin's had. He doesn't have anybody on his rear bumper to loosen him up.
Got that clean air, and that's downforce, and that's speed.
Carl Edwards, the king of the concrete, and behind him, one of the all-time best at Dover. Mark Martin up on that steering wheel, trying to reel in Edwards. Whoa! Off the wall, the two-car Busch, and his teammate comes across.
Oh, man, that was 2 for 1. Both Penske cars taken out in that one. A melee.
Jimmy Johnson also gets tagged, the reigning series champion. Jeff Green, the 66 cars in it. J.J. Yaley.
Something broke on the car, man. It shot straight into the fence.
That's Dover's version of the big one right there.
Oh, look at Martin Truex. He had a great shot to have a good top 5 today.
To state that this race has fallen apart in the last 40 laps would be an underevaluation. A flurry of yellows and now this massive incident involving Kurt, Truex, and Johnson shuffles the points tremendously. Newman, Labonte, Green, and others all total. Clint Bowyer meanwhile dodged it by mere inches, and now we have another red flag set in. For Martin Truex Jr., they realize the car's radiator is crushed, and they hope it can make it home on the apron without needing to replace it. If he can just complete 5 or 6, maybe even 7 laps, it could save anywhere between 30 to 50 points with all the other wrecked cars. The points lead meanwhile is tied between Edwards and Gordon. As they roll off from the red flag, it's time we have an 11-lap shootout. Biffle guns it on 4 tires, trying to get past the 0-1 of Martin. Before he can, caution for debris slows the field yet again. It's off the 1, as the car becomes a larger and larger disaster by the minute. Johnson through all this is still 2 laps down, but he's 14th, and on pit lane, Truex's car makes a crashing sound, and then water begins dumping everywhere. They send them back out, and it's time for a 4-lap shootout now, where again Biffle is on the attack. He gets Mark, and now it's teammate versus teammate, running Q laps to the white flag.
Track has been today. Smoke billowing from beneath the 1 car right in front of the leaders. They come by.
White flag.
Less than a mile to go for Carl Edwards. Trying to take over the lead in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Trying to become the first driver to lead the NASCAR Busch and the NASCAR Nextel Cup point standings. 2 turns away from victory at the Monster Mile. And here he comes down. Carl Edwards picks up win number 3 in 2007.
Concrete Carl wins, with Biffle claiming 2nd. Kyle Busch the only other chase driver in the top 5. Tony Stewart was right. The race came back to him as he finished 9th. And Jeff Burton, by survival alone, gets 7th. As Edwards does a backflip, many chasers hope that this race is the worst run of their chase. Race 3 takes us to Kansas Speedway, a track known to devastate chasers' hopes. Today it is coupled with 30 to 40 mile-an-hour wind gusts and imminent rain in the area. As Apollo 13 astronaut Jim Lovell gives the command, the field quickly takes the track. Jimmy Johnson sits on the pole as Kenseth rides 2nd. Johnson, however, will have to go to the back due to using a backup car, so he'll start 41st on the grid today. That means Scott Riggs will lead us to the green.
Cup. Fans on their feet, here they come down to the green flag.
Kenseth grabs the lead from Riggs as Gordon goes to 2nd. Jeff is now all over Matt as Junior races hard with Riggs, nearly dumping him. They attempt to go 4 wide, 3 chasers and Riggs off of 2, but it sorts out to Kyle Busch up to 4th and Kurt 5th. Cars are peaking at just over 190 miles an hour into turn 3 with the winds, and it begins to mist around the track. Caution is out for it, and everyone comes in just taking 2 tires, but then the rain gets harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and harder. Drivers get back into their cars with Jeff Burton receiving a penalty. He repaired his car under red flag, and it was him himself. Jeff, when taking the tarp off, reached down and gave the fender a tug. It'll put him into the longest line. He did that because he was worried about contact he had earlier in the race with the 49. And now, on lap 18, the race restarts. Gordon and Kyle Busch race for 10th as Johnson charges up to 21st. He's 3 wide in the middle, and he only sits 62 back in standings. Then,
See a little bit of tape. It might be some of the decal, maybe some tape stuck on the hood pin. That's got to be trouble.
Kyle Busch, one of the chase contenders, has had back-to-back top 5 finishes, and he is head on to the wall here on lap 27.
It's a
the
weird place
5-car
to
is
get in a
total,
wreck right there at the end of the straight.
and it will without a doubt be Kyle Busch's mulligan in the chase. Pit stops ensue, with most taking 2 again. The race goes back green on lap 31, with Kurt and Truex going for it. Truex slaps the fence and has a tire go down. He comes down, and then there's a caution for debris. It saves Truex from going a lap down. He's able to restart on lap 35. Kenseth is still leading, and Dale Earnhardt in the pack gets racy, and he hits Tony Stewart down the front stretch, just like he hit Kyle. Except this time, Stewart holds onto it somehow. The top 3 start getting really racy, all running different lines. Lap after lap, Kurt, Kenseth, and Jeff keep battling. As they cross past lap 50, the track is from the apron to the wall wide. and Ryan Newman reports a valve issue. And then another caution comes out. Gordon is able to win the race off pit road with Kenseth second and Kurt third. On lap 63, we take the green again, and Johnson keeps charging through the field, feeling that this weekend is similar to what they did 4 years ago here. They won the pole back in 2003 here. Then they crashed in practice, and went to a backup car and to the rear of the field for the start, and came home eventually 7th. Suddenly out of nowhere, Jeff Burton's car slows. He's reporting that it's not picking up fuel anymore, and it comes to a stop on the apron. It brings the yellow out, and it puts Burton countless laps down. The race restarts again on lap 72, with Kenseth leading and Stewart on the attack after Gordon. The 20 gets him, and he starts chasing down the lead and grabs it from Matt. And now Kyle Busch is back on track. Kurt and Stewart commence a battle, along with Johnson and Gordon in 4th. And now all 5 leaders start racing hard, putting on some of the best racing you could ever find all over the track. Soon, 9 laps down, Jeff Burton races among the leaders with fresher tires, and the Biffle about destroys Harvick, thinking that he's using those square bumpers from the cot. Finally, a caution comes out for Robbie Gordon, and we go back down pit lane for pit stops. Kurt leads them down with Tony putting some tape on the nose. Truex wins the race off by taking 2, and the broadcast misses the restart. Kurt gets Truex and Tony, and Jimmy and Martin race on. Eventually a caution is out for debris, and yes, it is real. And the race restarts again with nobody stopping on lap 103. The 2 still holds the lead, and many are thinking that this race is going to be over in just about 50 laps. Nobody knows when exactly the rain is coming, but they are certain that it'll more than likely be the end of the race. Tony starts his hunt of Kurt Busch, and soon Kenseth nails a piece of metal with his nose. The debris flew off Stewart's car, and after Matt ran it over, it shot up into the softwall and out of the way. Harvick and Gordon now race for 6th. As they run, Stewart has a 7-point championship lead in standings. 10 laps from halfway, the rain's getting closer, and many plan the run till their cars are out of gas or the rain hits. They expect that it'll be the end of the day, and now past halfway, Kenseth comes down the pit, and they think the rain will either hold off or not last long. Johnson does the same, and Gordon soon is in as well, needing fuel, but he only takes 2 tires to try and preserve track position, but also play if the race goes back green after the rain. Stewart stays out, running on fumes, and then the rain hits. Caution finally comes out as lightning strikes are all around the racetrack, and Tony, like last year, is rolling around on fumes, hoping that the heavens collapse. They do, and many think the race is over. They pull down, the tarps come out, and Stewart is hoping that they call it. Bowyer is as well. He has snuck up the 2nd through this, and Harvick his teammates 3rd. The storm intensifies, with wind, lightning, and cars getting power washed by the streaking rain. Eventually the rain stops, and the drying process begins, and it's realized we are going to go back racing. How long, we don't know. And as the sun sets, and the track drying and the wind is accelerating the drying, the cars roll off, and the race will be officially shortened now by 42 laps. Stewart holds his breath, pacing, hoping they can just make it around under the caution sequence and not run out of gas under the yellow. Truex 30th is needing to have this race run green as much as possible. Bowyer's reporting that his radio doesn't work, and track position is everywhere. The race finally goes back green on lap 155.
These cars on the tail end of the lead lap, and they're going to go 3 wide and 4 wide as they retake the green flag. There's Tony in the 20 car behind all these cars that are being shown on the tail end of the lead lap. Whoa, contact! Schrader is sideways. Gilliland is in it. The 1 car of Truex, the 17 car of Kenseth. Mark Martin getting his car woed down.
These guys were 3 wide off the corners on a real green racetrack. Probably pretty slick.
The big one has happened at Kansas, and it's the end for Matt Kenseth. The car isn't finished, as he'll still ride around the rest of this race, but it's mortally wounded. It has lost all of its race-winning pace from earlier. His chances have come to an end. He will be the first driver eliminated from the 4th chase. As Truex goes to the garage in recovery mode, it becomes evident that Harvick narrowly avoided the crash. Tony Stewart also has a tire up now, and Greg Zipadelli, his crew chief, is trying to judge if they should come in or not. Kevin Harvick now leads the race as the points are spun into disarray, and Tony, the current points leader, has a tumultuous decision: pit or not to. The ultimate decision? Stay out. Gordon comes down and tops out, thinking that with the prolonged cleanup, the race won't even make it to 225. The race restarts on lap 165, with Stewart's left front rubbing bad, whilst Gordon and Kurt dice through the pack. The 20 keeps fading, and now Greg Biffle, another driver who's avoided the big one, catches Harvick and begins battling him for the lead. However, the fight is interrupted.
Greg this morning, he felt that things were good, and Tony Stewart is in trouble.
Oh, Tony Stewart, what everyone hoped would not happen, and he has trouble, and he gets the 99 car involved.
Man, I tell you, that was just a bad decision right there. Leave him out there. I was worried about that.
The tire blew, and it took Carl Edwards with him. Stewart is furious as he leaves his totaled car in immense anger. The race will now be shortened to 210 laps, NASCAR says. And with the race restart with only 27 laps left, they immediately go 3 wide, and then a crash.
Biffle, Harvick. 3 wide action back in the pack.
Jimmy Johnson a part of that 3 wide mix. Oh, contact down the back straightaway. The 11 car is involved. McMurray is involved.
15 wrecked us. Yes, he did.
Hamlin stalls, not refiring, and he goes a lap down. And darkness looms more and more over the speedway. The race restarts again with 23 laps left, and Johnson is 7th, trying to get toward the front as fast as possible. Gordon is doing the same, not having time to make the track position up with all the yellows as he thought he would. Bowyer soon passes the 29 for second, and he starts chasing Biffle. Harvick keeps fading, and Johnson gets 4th. Soon the 48 is 3rd, and he's trying to chase down the 16. Gordon meanwhile is up to 6th with 14 laps left. The times level out under 10 to go. As Gordon gets 5th, there's 4 laps left, and then Montoya blows a tire. Caution comes out, and it's apparent it's going to be a green-white checkered restart. An intense duel to the finish, as many expect even more chaos. That is until NASCAR comes across the radio and says the race will end under caution at the scheduled distance of 210 laps. That means Greg Biffle is going to win the race, and the 16 crew starts celebrating as they pace to the white. As they do the victory interview with the crew chief, Biffle comes off of turn 4 to claim.
So, congratulations to Greg Biffle, huh?
Looks like the Aflac Duck's going to get a checker here.
Greg Biffle, 37-year-old driver, had gone 28 races. His last win was at Homestead at the end of finale of 2006.
Flag, buddy, right there. Checker flag.
And Biffle takes the win at Kansas Speedway in what was an unbelievably long day, but he doesn't care. Right now, he is a winner in 2007.
Biffle ran out of gas coming off the final corner, and he didn't maintain pace speed to the line. Therefore, he lost at least the top 2 spots, but nonetheless they send the 16 car to victory lane. NASCAR's excuse is that he was leading at the last scoring loop, but that's not the point of this argument. Biffle didn't maintain pace, and many drivers like Johnson and Bowyer staked their argument for why they think they should be ahead of the 16 in the finishing order. However, NASCAR doesn't listen to them whatsoever, and they can only preach to the choir. Uncertainty is the only definitive thing today. Many teams are worried about how the car tomorrow will race on a plate track for the first time. And coupling that with 7 drivers who usually never start near the front and have trimmed their cars out for qualifying, many are scared what could happen in just the opening laps. The best starting chasers today will be Tony Stewart in 11th, as various other chasers had to take points provisionals. And in the field is Jacques Villeneuve, making his first ever Cup start. Whilst competitors are concerned, the broadcast is dubbing this race possibly as, quote, the race of the decade. And as Michael Waltrip leads, we go green in Alabama.
Fans watching and waving. Michael Waltrip's last win came here 4 years ago. It has been a long time in coming, and he leads them down as the green waves, and they shuffle into turn one.
Toyotas dominate lap 1 as Waltrip gets sketchy. Soon Vickers leads, and quickly Stewart pushes to second at 200 miles an hour. By lap 11, they go 4 wide, and Kyle Busch is shoving the hell out of Denny Hamlin. It garners him the first aggressive driving warning of the day. And as Kenseth pits for a flat tire, caution comes out for John Andretti blowing a tire in the tri-oval. Pit stops ensue under yellow, with Hamlin holding his lead and Kyle Busch losing 8 spots. As Hamlin leads on lap 22 restart, he holds at the front of the train. Harvick tries to lead a bottom lane groove to make position, with Rusty Wallace on the broadcast predicting this race will be a 4-wide photo finish as they go single file. Sadler drops low leading the bottom groove, but the lines break apart, and Waltrip now pulls a reverse elevator across the track blocking lanes. Truex manages to charge for the lead, and then a couple of laps later the field is back single file, and Dale Jr. is playing his flute at the front. They freight train past lap 40, then lap 45, then lap 50. And finally on lap 55, pit stops begin. The field comes down in groups of manufacturers, and then the cycle is followed immediately by a caution. Greg Biffle cut a tire, and David Gilliland has attained some minor side damage. It turned out that it was a big jam up on the outside that actually caused the issue. And the race restarts again with Truex having some side damage. Hamlin leads Stewart in second and Kyle in third, and immediately it's back to single file racing. Then he leads the train past lap 70, then lap 75, and finally on lap 81, Harvick charges the bottom, and by lap 88 the race is on. Triple file and 4 lanes in some spots, Junior gets the lead and then Vickers gets the second. Eventually Waltrip is back up there, and the 2 drivers that are readying to flee or already have fled from DEI lead the field just like they did 3 years ago. Out of nowhere, Jeff Burton drops out of the draft though, and right down pit lane. The car has detonated. Smoke fills the cockpit as he pulls into the garage. It becomes clear to the 31 crew that with yet another poor run, one that sinks them to almost the bottom of the chase standings 4 races in, that they have been eliminated from the 4th chase. The yellow is out for oil, and the remaining 10 chasers all pit, Waltrip winning the race off. The race restarts just past halfway on lap 96, and the 55 and 8 set back up with one another as Kane tries working to the lead. Junior works high and grabs the front position, and now the future teammates push ahead. Tony eventually works the middle lane, and Stewart leads the race and the points as they race through the 500-mile marathon. Eventually they single file back out again on lap 106, and even Dale Earnhardt Jr. can't overcome the top groove. The Evernham cars charge on the bottom, and it jumbles the field into 3 wide again. Before they can get any more racy,
Caution and the 1 car erupting an engine.
There's another one of those RCR DEI engines.
Remember Richard Childress racing and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
Stay straight.
Those 2
the
companies
RCR
merged,
DEI engines have been
especially
a
under
letdown all season.
restrictor plate programs, and
Now
we've
the
had
engines
2
have led to yet
failures out of
another
that
one of their
camp right
drivers
now.
suffering from it.
Mark Truex
Well,
Jr.
Mark
did a
Truex
great
Jr. and the
job
one
not to
team
spin
at
the
speed
car
all
out. He got
year,
in the grass right
they
there.
never
Sure,
seem
he
to
had a lot
have
of
that
oil and
reliability.
stuff on the tires.
And today,
So the second
it
of our
eliminates them.
chasers having engine
4th
trouble.
chase.
The third.
The Evernham cars lead the field down pit lane, with Sadler winning the race off, then Stewart in second. The race restarts with 116 laps complete, and there's only 5 RCR DEI engines left in the field in general. Harvick's team feels confident as they are one of those engines, and they went conservative with their engine package. And with under 60 laps left, they freight train with tons playing the long game, until they decide to go 4 wide. The bottom groove is together, and Stewart gets the lead. Sauter gets racy with Stewart as they side draft back and forth. As the intensity keeps ramping up, Dale Jr. goes kaboom on the front stretch. As Junior Nation reels from the disappointment, pit stops ensue, and Sauter wins the race off. With 48 laps to go, Tony on the restart pulls off an immaculate slingshot, and Johnny can't counteract, plummeting through the field. Kyle Busch starts leading the dying bottom groove, then Labonte just loses it.
Reason just didn't make any sense to me, but I liked it when we were battling and racing, and that's why when we got in the back, we kept trying to go to the bottom to get to the front.
Oh, trouble on the racetrack, trouble way up high, and we now have the big one here with 44 laps to go, the 5-car involved. McMurray is there, Rudiman is involved.
7-car got it.
A lot of tore-up race cars here. Chase contender Kyle Busch, he's in it. Major damage on the number 5 Chevrolet in his car. Jamie McMurray with the front end knocked out. He's going good.
As Hamill needs some repairs, they restart with 39 to go. And Rades leads and Stewart is second. And some big moves start being made as they go 4 wide. The Penske's scream to the lead, and still 3 wide with blocks. Stewart is making some wild moves, and then there is a delay as the 21 loses it. Brings out another caution, and the race restarts with 32 laps to go. The field single files out again, with Boyer reporting that he might blow up. Another caution comes out for Kyle Petty, who loses it and smashes the wall. And now we have another restart with 22 laps left. As they go back to single file again, Jimmy Johnson has made an appearance at the front, running 14th. He begins working with Dave Blaney, charging to the front. Tony is blocking everyone though, throwing caution to the wind. He gets left out the dry eventually, and then Waltrip loses it. Newman leads now, and Biffle is smashed. The race is ready to restart with only 8 laps left, and Stewart steps out first, as Boyer walls Mike Wallace in the pack. 7 laps to go, and they single file out again. 6 laps left, and the bottom group is making some progress. And it's starting with Jimmy Johnson. With 5 laps to go, Tony shuffles Casey Mears. And now with 4 laps to go, there's roughly barely 10 miles left in the race. As they come to 2 laps to go, another driver makes an appearance. It's the 24 of Jeff Gordon.
They're pretty well in hand, but you got to think that Jeff Gordon's sitting back there. He's making his plans for the last lap here. 2 laps to go.
Right now with 48 car, Jimmy Johnson leading. On the last lap, he's going to have to throw his teammate away. He's just going to block these guys off. And heck with the relationship right now. When I see the white flag, it's game over, baby. I'm looking after myself right now.
When they tested here, they said we do not want to be the lead car in the draft because you're a sitting duck. Today, it's worked both ways. You've been able to stay there. You've been passed pretty easily. What are these guys going to do?
That last time by, you saw the 22 car, Dave Blaney, really give a good shove right in front of Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon really got a good shove on Blaney that time, and that's what Gordon needed.
Jimmy Johnson doing a great job right here, using that draft to his advantage, watching that mirror, keeping that 24 car square in his bumper. 197 miles an hour. They take the white flag 3 wide. Here comes Tony Stewart up on the high side.
And the white flag is out. It's waving 3 wide.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon trying to hang on to the bottom, grasping help from behind with Blaney in the Toyota. Up high, Tony Stewart gets help from Casey Kane.
That's 4 wide down the back straightaway. Hamlin on the inside.
Here comes Gordon on the outside.
Jeff Gordon has moved up in front of Tony Stewart and to get the push by.
Jeff Gordon, a 5-time Talladega winner. He knows how to get it done. He hung at the back of the pack all day long. He pulls up, and Tony Stewart pushes him by. As they come down, Jeff Gordon trying to hang on. 2 wide, 3 wide behind him. Gordon on the bottom of the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson second, and Jeff Gordon takes the win at Talladega. Unbelievable. The car tomorrow.
Great race at the very end.
Jeff Gordon wins at Talladega, with Johnson second. The beer cans fly as Jeff Gordon lights it up on track and in the points. He holds only 4 over Johnson now, and 58 over Boyer in third. Outside of those 3, everyone else is on the fringe of elimination, sitting 150 points back now. The chase comes home to the Beast of the East, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman sits on the pole with Jimmie Johnson to his outside. And right behind Johnson is points leader and the man who one-upped him last week, teammate Jeff Gordon. If there was ever a track to have Johnson grab the lead back in standings, it would be here, tonight. All chasers will have to avoid the treacherous turn 4 here, where this weekend, many have been devastated by the corner exit's difficulty. It could very well eliminate multiple chasers tonight, something they'll keep their minds on as we take the green.
38 starts. Here they come, 2 by 2. Fans on their feet. Sit back and enjoy, folks. NASCAR NASCAR Cup Racing at Rose Motor Speedway underway.
Caution is out already for the franchise slapping the fence. Now Newman leads on the restart on lap 5. Ryan holds the lead for a short while until Jamie McMurray goes by and passes him for the lead. Johnson follows through as well to second, and then teammate Kurt Busch grabs third from him. Eventually another caution is out for David Reagan, who got hooked by the 41 down the front stretch. Everybody comes down under this caution and takes 2 tires, with Jimmy winning the race off, then Newman and McMurray. Kyle Petty, though, who stayed out, leads on the restart on lap 24. But he quickly falls through the field, and Johnson is the unlucky driver in the traffic that gets caught up in it, and loses a ton of track position. Matt Kenseth eventually gets the lead from Robbie Gordon, as suddenly the 29 comes down pit lane. He's reporting a flat tire, and again the 29 will have to race from behind. Kurt eventually slips to second, and Johnson moves back up to the top 3, and then suddenly the 29 is back down pit lane again. They have made a crucial mistake. Kevin guessed wrong on what side of the car the flat tire was on, and this mistake now puts them over 4 laps down. And again they are in yet another irrecoverable spot. In a time of year where you have to be perfect, Kevin Harvick has faltered, and now he has been eliminated from the 4th chase. As the race approaches lap 50, Johnson has sprinted past Kurt and McMurray to grab the lead. As he races with lap cars, Boyer works into the top 3 as well. And then another caution is out for Reed Sorensen, who slams the concrete, caused by a blown right front tire. Pit stops ensue again, and everybody takes 4 tires, Kurt winning the race off pit lane. Johnson falls back to 3rd as Kenseth claims 2nd, and the race restarts again on lap 71, with lap traffic cursing Johnson again. Kurt tries to hold off Matt, but the 17 fights hard and grabs the lead. The Roush crew is fighting yet another alternator issue, and has about 3 hours left of juice in the batteries. Tony Raines eventually brings out the next caution, as he gets dumped by Dave Blaney. And now some of the back half of the field pits, led by Tony Stewart. Currently as they run, Johnson holds about 20 points over Gordon and Boyer. And then 4th on back is 200 points down. The race restarts on lap 80, and Kenseth holds steady as Kyle works into the top 5. In the back half of the top 10 is Dale Jr. He runs in front of Jeff Gordon, and he checks up. Gordon, unexpecting it, bump and runs Jr. And as those two squabble over the result of what happened, Johnson wanders back to the lead once again. He gets slowed by another debris caution that is real, and it's pit stops again. Johnson says he is tight, and they decide to put a spring rubber in the car, losing him 4 spots. Kenseth gets the lead back, and they restart on lap 122. The Busch brothers are behind him, and the two swerve at each other, reminding themselves of what happened here in the spring, when in the All-Star race, they took each other out. Johnson starts his march again, passing Jr., and Stewart avoids elimination as the 38 nearly loses it next to him. Kurt is next on the 48's march, and then it's Kenseth. It takes very little time for the 48 to again be back in the lead. As Jimmy leads, Jeff and Jr. slog it out, tempting the thought of payback, but it's broken up by Robbie Gordon hitting the wall. Pit stops ensue again, and may take only 2 tires, Boyer winning the race off. He leads on the restart on lap 140, with proficient lap traffic to the inside. Kurt attacks Boyer and overtakes him for the head spot, and Stewart and Gordon split Kyle Petty racing one another. Jimmy again is behind chasing after a restart, and grabs the lead from the 2 car. And for 7th, they are 3 wide. Gordon tries filing past Newman and Jr., then Matt Kenseth goes around off of turn 4. It leads to more pit stops, with another spring rubber adjustment by the 48 crew. Boyer wins the race off, and Johnson plummets to 6th. Bobby Labonte on 2 tires will restart 2nd. He attacks Clint Bowyer. The field is stacked up big this time, and Johnson tries getting past cars up to 4th. Another caution comes out though for Elliott Sadler crashing. Strategy with the short pitting gets crazy, as Stewart takes only gas, and then he has a crash on pit road. It reportedly knocks the toe out of the car, and now disaster starts to set in again. On the restart on lap 180, Johnson holds only 6 points over Gordon, and Kyle Busch races leader Clint Bowyer, having a run that is keeping him alive in the chase. Johnson eventually dices through and gets the lead back, having by far the best vehicle on track. Jeff Gordon runs up to 3rd before a caution for Bill Elliott. Everybody is in again, and many take few only. Kurt meanwhile has attained minor damage from Mark Martin hitting him in the pit lane. With a restart on lap 194, the Hendrick car is clear, and quickly the caution is back out again. The 55 of Michael Waltrip and John Andretti appear to crash bad on the front stretch, and Jeff Gordon leads the race on the restart with 120 to go. Strategy puts Jeff Gordon out front, and Johnson back deep in the field. With the 48 team having to pass even more cars, he won't be able to as another caution comes out yet again for Matt Kenseth blowing a tire. They clean up and restart on lap 227, and they run shortly before another caution, and this time it is for Jimmie Johnson.
They're still back here. Down the back. Oh, Jimmie Johnson spins around in the 48 car. Loops it around, has some damage, it looks like, in the right rear bumper. Couldn't tell. Back in traffic, trying to work his way through, Chad Knaus.
The 48 lost it and just tapped the outside wall. They begin repairing, in full recovery mode, leaving the race wide open. With 100 laps left, they restart with Bowyer leading over Riggs and Newman, Gordon back to 4th from strategy. Gordon is on the attack as Johnson starts his recovery drive. Newman and Gordon follow the 10 back, and the top 3 space away from the field. They race down the 62 to go, with Gordon finally catching Bowyer and passing him off of 2. And now the report comes in from the 2 car. They have lost a cylinder. The 2 begins to smoke as caution comes out for a massive accident between the 42 and the 10. Juan just blew a tire in front of Riggs, and they hit the wall hard. As the possible last stops ensue, Kyle beats Jeff Gordon off the pit lane. Kurt, meanwhile, is in serious trouble. The car is smoking badly, and they are under the hood, attempting to diagnose the issue. It was coming clear for the 2 team with their second mechanical failure in 5 weeks, coupled with the incident at Dover. It has set them back to a point of no return. He will continue on in the race, but Kurt Busch is officially eliminated from the 4th chase. The race restarts with 51 to go, and Gordon attacks Kyle for the lead. He grabs it and begins the run as Bowyer holds 4th from Bobby Labonte. Stewart and Johnson race each other for 12th, both recovering from their damage. And under 50 laps left, Bowyer's car comes alive as he screams past Newman and he tries to pursue Jeff Gordon. The 24 is gone though, building a 4-second lead ahead of him. Hamlin meanwhile is 5th, having a solidly quiet night. The race runs under 20 to go, where Kyle Busch gets the 2nd, and he starts to chase down his teammate. Bowyer fades to the 4th place driver in Newman, but then a caution late. It's for Johnny Sauter, who crashed off of turn 4. And now with the late race restart, Kyle Busch is 2nd, Johnson 7th, and Bowyer 3rd, all prepping to make a late race run. Also during this caution, the 66 car starts dumping fluid, covering the 24 in oil. And now they have to call a red flag to clean up the amount of fluid on the racetrack. As the safety crews tried to clean up the BP oil spill of 2007 from the 66 car, Jeff Gordon in the lead has 39 points over everybody. He's prepping for a qualifying run home, and Rick Hendrick tells Kyle Busch that if he gets to the outside of Gordon, that Jeff has been instructed to let him by. And the key word is no wrecks. They begin pacing for the 5-lap shootout. Gordon reporting that the car is surging when you shake it, and Steve tells them they have 12 laps left. Can Jeff Gordon hold on? Here we go.
Busch, will he listen to team orders? Don't wreck each other, guys. Big picture. You said Clint Bowyer will go high. Will he go high? We're going to find out. Green flag with 5 laps to go. Here they come. 5 car underneath the 24. 24 car must be sputtering.
And take a look at Ryan Newman. He just checked out. The 5 cars under the 24, they both got slowed down. And Ryan Newman said, adios, I am out of here.
Chaos has led to Ryan Newman leaving the field behind, and Jeff Gordon needing to regroup. The battle for third is intense, as Gordon appears to have nothing left for the 12 of Ryan Newman.
Look at the 99 Carl Edwards. He's kind of getting in the picture right now. He's in a 6th position. 3 laps to go.
Jeff Gordon trying to run down Ryan Newman. Whoa, Newman up in the wall. In the wall. The 12 car up across the racetrack and tags the wall with 3 laps to go.
Oh my goodness. He just ran the fastest lap of the race the lap before that.
On the heels of the fastest lap of the race, Newman cuts a rear tire. And now we will have a green-white checkered finish. The sputtering in the 24 is getting worse. And the cameras zoom in to look for the cut tire and actually find that Newman didn't have one go down. He actually just lost it. Gordon, worried about his pickup, runs on the apron, hoping that the car doesn't run out of gas. Johnson pits to double check if they can make it on fuel. And now Gordon, Boyer, Busch, and Burton get ready to go green flag.
Pulls away. Jeff Gordon will lead him down. Does he have the fuel to get up to speed? Watch Boyer. He knows that Gordon may not have a lot of fuel. Which way does he go? Gordon in the middle groove. Does Boyer go high? Gordon now coming up to speed. Watch the 5 car. How much fuel does he have as well?
Looks like Gordon gets a lot better restart this time.
Even he doesn't know how much fuel's in the tank. Is it going to sputter? Here comes the 31 car. Burton, who won it last night in the Busch competition from the back of the pack.
Can he make it on field? Jeff Gordon's got a good handle of the car.
White flag for Jeff Gordon. 1 lap to go. Does he have enough?
Unbelievable. This 07 car is trying to run him down. But doesn't look like Gordon's going to have a problem. His car's stuck good. He's got a half a lap to go.
It's been since 1999 that Jeff Gordon has been able to come home and win at this racetrack. He has not finished a race in 3 years, but folks, tonight, Jeff Gordon wins again at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Jeff Gordon wins back-to-back, pulling out an awesome burn, with Boyer second, Kyle third, and Edwards fifth. Gordon states he feels like he has a horseshoe shoved up his butt, completely different from Denny Hamlin, who had a good run going until the end, where he fell back to 20th by the finish. It is yet another poor run, coupled with repeated incidents between mid-pack cars and non-chasers, has put Hamlin in a position that is irreversible. The magic of last year has not returned for his second chase run the Homestead, and he is eliminated from the 4th chase. With half the chase down, half the chasers remain, and back-to-back winner Jeff Gordon has won today's pole. He's trying to pull off the hat trick, as Truex is to his outside, and Harvick in 3rd, Johnson 4th. With all that, we're ready to go green in Martinsville.
Come out of turn 4, crowd of almost 70,000 on their feet as the green flag waves at Martinsville Speedway.
Gordon takes the lead early as Kyle Busch attacks for 3rd. The 5 cars were the last cars through inspection today, having to make bumper bar repairs after contact with Biffle and Happy Hour. Gordon begins to run away from the field as Truex starts to fade, being passed by Harvick, Busch, and Johnson. As Gordon works through traffic, the first caution comes out. Gordon is the first car off pit lane through stops, Harvick 2nd and Johnson 3rd, and the race restarts again on lap 50, with Stewart back in 13th fighting. Eventually Johnson gets 2nd from the 29, and then caution is out for the 70. The race restarts on lap 73, and NASCAR warns Gordon about how he's restarting the races. He will get practice with those restarts as yet another caution is out for Dale Jarrett and David Gilliland. And the race goes back green on lap 87, both Johnson and Gordon clearing. A big stack up ensues in the field and caution is out for the 01, 41, and 10. Evernham cars got together and the race restarts again on lap 98. Kyle works to the top groove with the Hendrick top 3 past lap 100. Johnson now begins attacking Gordon, applying the pressure and eventually getting the lead and 5 bonus points. The caution comes out soon after for the 01 on fire, and pit stops follow. No changes were made as everyone takes 4 and the race restarts again on lap 124. Burton is the leader, as many drivers stay out. Johnson, Gordon picking through the field from 12th place on back as we cross past the lap 150 mark. Stewart is 21st currently and struggling. He's having some overheating issues. And Jeff Green is having an underdog run in 2nd. Montoya sits in 3rd. Johnson meanwhile is 7th. Gordon following through. Another caution comes out and both Johnson and Gordon take 4 again. Montoya and Biffle win the race off. We miss the restart as Kyle Busch is the leader staying out. And Gordon has to repit under the caution due to not getting all the tires tight. He places him deep in the pack. And Boyer meanwhile slogs in 4th. Caution is out again for Michael Waltrip. And under yellow, Carl Edwards reports that he has no volts. The race restarts again on lap 192, before caution quickly coming out again for debris. This time everybody comes down, and Bobby Labonte wins the race off pit lane, with Sorensen in 2nd. The race restarts again on lap 220. And Montoya, Jr., and Stewart, the top 3 who stayed out this time with the yellows, are now leading the race. Gordon is now 5th and out of track position hell, and Jr. tries to pass Montoya. And with the way they're running now, Gordon has a 107-point lead. Another caution for debris though, varies strategy even more, with Jr. winning the race off pit lane, then Truex. Stewart and Gordon in line behind. Kyle stays out again and leads at lap 255. All of a sudden, somebody doesn't go, and there's this enormous stack up. The caution comes out as Yaley detonates, and Johnson now has minor front end damage. Sorensen also blew up on the restart, causing the checkup. And after cleanup, the race restarts with 230 to go. Gordon gets ran wide and races Truex hard. Caution is out again for a spun car, and strategy deepens again. Johnson now leads, staying out, and Biffle sits behind him. Harvick 3rd, and Gordon is 5th on the restart with 200 to go. Johnson is able to hold on over Biffle before Jeff Gordon charges back up to behind the 48. Worry sets in as the race starts looking green. Chad thinking they might have to run the car out of gas by not pitting the 48, praying for a caution. Just as Gordon closes in on the worrisome team, caution saves Jimmy. Pit stops hold the top 2 where they are, and Labonte is 3rd. Kyle Busch leads through the restart with 152 to go, staying out again. And they quickly file Kyle back, and Gordon keeps tabs with Johnson through traffic. They're approaching the final 100 laps, and caution is out again as a couple go around and pit stops ensue again. Johnson has a bad stop falling to 3rd. Gordon leading on the restart with 98 laps left. Jeff is gone, and Boyer is 15th, Edwards 17th, and the Insulate Truex in 16th. Kyle fights off Harvick and Stewart, and then another caution comes out for David Stremme, who spins himself off of Truex. The race restarts again with 78 to go. Gordon leading over Newman and Johnson. And the 48 eventually catches Newman with another 70 to go, and the race hard, but clean. Finally gets him with 64 to go, and now we're shaping up to have a rematch from the spring. That rematch is interrupted when Truex gets spun by Casey Mears, and now we'll have a restart with 54 laps to go, and that is when the duel will begin. Both clear lap cars by the entrance of turn 3, and Gordon starts to try and pull away, but then another caution. Rudd and Kane get into it, and under commercial, Johnson was able to actually pass Gordon for the lead, so the broadcast missed it. The race restarts with 37 laps left, and Johnson escapes and Gordon does as well before another caution. Stewart and Edwards get involved in an incident, but nothing serious. The race restarts again with 30 to go, and a repeat of what happened before. Gordon stays close, the master of the clock dueling the king of the paperclip. And the caution comes out again for Truex spun again, dumped this time by David Reagan. Edwards and Stewart make more contact, but still nothing serious. And now, with 19 laps left, the race restarts and Johnson slips up. Gordon goes low, and they duel each other to 17 to go. Johnson commits to running the high side, defending, and then another caution. Bill Elliott blows up, and the close friends prepare to duel yet again with only 10 laps left. Gordon has an immaculate restart, but Johnson holds. Newman on the rebound goes after Gordon, and now Johnson begins to run away. Newman grabs second, and Gordon slots the third. And then another caution comes out for Tony Raines dumping Bobby Labonte. And now the 2002 rookie class is going to duel for the win.
Short track style. Here they come. Green flag, white flag, checkered flag. Can Jimmy Johnson hang on? Here comes Gordon. Single file as the green flag waves. Look at the 5-car of Kyle Busch is there. And Newman is right on the bumper. Jimmy Johnson pulls him now by 2 car lengths.
White flag this time.
White flag this time. 6-car, bottom of the racetrack. 12-car right on the rear of the 48.
Sideways in the middle of the track. They're wide open. Now the caution flag's out.
Race is over. That's it right there.
Johnson wins, saved by the caution, as Jeff Gordon gets third, Kyle fourth, and Boyer ninth. Edwards and Stewart finish respectable enough to keep themselves alive. And through 21 cautions, surprisingly, not a single chase elimination. Celebrating the 15-year anniversary of one of NASCAR's greatest races, the two men who stopped and started their careers in that race, Grand Marshal and waved the green flag.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
With 6 chasers standing and 4 races to go, Richard Petty waves the green flag in Atlanta.
Flag because the race is on, and the king, Richard Petty, is going to turn him loose at Atlanta.
Dust flies as Kurt takes the lead from Biffle in the opening laps, and on the start, Dale Jr.'s engine sputtered and nearly caused an enormous crash off of turn 2. As the race pushes on, Stewart from his starting spot of 30th is already 24th by lap 8, and Johnson fires on Kane for 3rd. The 48 car they are using this week is the same one they won Vegas and Auto Club with earlier in the year. Behind him in 5th is Jeff Gordon, fighting a car that's been awful all weekend. He is able to chase down and pass Kane for 4th, with Johnson eventually leapfrogging Greg Biffle, who says his car is, quote, blowing up. Eventually, the first caution is out and everybody pits. Kurt wins the race off pit road with Biffle 2nd, Johnson 3rd. Montoya blew a tire on the straightaway, which is why we're under this yellow. And the race restarts with Dave Blaney slowing, eventually bringing out another caution quickly after. The race finally restarts on lap 42, with Kurt still leading and Truex up to 2nd now. Tony, meanwhile, has fought the 7th, and is driving so hard he is blistering his hands on the steering wheel, he says. Kurt soon reports that he thought he was blowing up, but realized that it was due to running wide open for the first lap, and that it actually draws too much gas out of the carburetor. Leads the car sputtering for a split second. And during this little concern, Truex starts chasing the 2 car down. Eventually, the 1 car takes hold of the first position before our 3rd caution. The 42 blows another right front, and everybody's down pit lane again. Kurt reclaims the lead with Johnson moving up to 3rd, Gordon also gaining 2 spots, and Clint Bowyer on pit entry gets rear-ended. The race restarts on lap 62, Kyle Busch passing Jimmy Johnson low, and then there's a big crash on the backstretch. David Gilliland lost control and spun straight into the line of Mark Martin, and they have the red flag for cleanup. During this time, they interview a young driver on the Gibbs pit box. His name is Joey Logano, who seems excited about his new contract signing with JGR. The race restarts again on lap 69, and they go 3 wide off of turn 4 for the restart. Gordon attacks Stewart and gets the position, and Edwards does as well. Gordon eventually gets passed by Jr. and Kane, and Carl Edwards is also closing. At the front though, the 2 and 1 battle for the lead, both getting caught by a quick 8 car slicing through the traffic. Stewart fades back to 12th, but is saved by a yellow for David Stremme. And the field pits with a DEI 1-2 coming off the pit lane. On lap 103, they lead the field green, and Kyle Busch is on the move once again. In the back during this is Clint Bowyer. He is suffering in 35th. He's having a horrendous day thus far, and Johnson sits just barely outside the top 10. and Tony Stewart starts free-falling through the field. Junior at the front reports a tire is going down, and he pits from second place. And past 200 laps to go, Stewart falls to 25th. He leads the pit cycle on lap 136, and as Kurt Busch marches towards the front, caution comes out for David Ragan. Jeff Gordon at the end of that run reports that his car was awful, and he says it's time to make a big adjustment. All take 4 tires and out the pit lane. First, it's Martin Truex Jr., then Kenseth and Hamlin. Johnson pits under this yellow after narrowly dodging a race-altering penalty by coming into a closed pit right before the caution came out. It lets him stay on the lead lap on lap 153. And Matt gets on it first, desperately trying to pass the 1 car. He's unable to as Johnson and Gordon race for 13th. A weirdly poor run by both dominant drivers. Eventually another caution comes out for Bobby Labonte, who readjusts his car on the outside wall coming out of turn 4. Dale Jr. is the recipient of the lucky dog under this caution, and the race restarts on lap 167. But immediately another caution comes out for the 66 of Jeremy Mayfield. The race restarts again on lap 172, and Kyle immediately tries holding off the challenge from his brother Kurt. Boyer, who took 2 tires earlier, is still holding somewhat okay inside the top 10, and Johnson starts pushing inside that threshold as well. Stewart then comes down pit lane, and they put the hood up. He's reportedly lost fuel pressure, and now he's lost too many points. His first big mistake was at Kansas, and set him up in a position so if something like this were to happen, it would make his chase irrecoverable. With only 3 races left in the chase, Tony Stewart has been eliminated from the 4th chase. A caution soon comes out for a crashed David Stremme, who blew a right rear. More pit stops changed little as Truex still leads and Casey Kane is second. The Busch brothers are 3rd and 4th as the race restarts on lap 203. The field dices it with lap cars as Gordon is running 21st on track, the car getting worse. Boyer's 14th and Kane's 2nd, closing on Truex as well. With 93 to go, Joe Nemechek blows a tire with debris scattering everywhere. Kurt runs some of it over. Pit stops come through, with Kane winning the race off, Truex losing 4 spots, and Kyle Busch coming out 2nd. 3rd on the restart is Jimmy Johnson, knocking Gordon's point lead down to just 5. And on this restart, Kyle Busch daredevils it on the outside, getting an incredible move to take the lead. Burton 4th races Truex, and they both race Johnson, who, with 84 to go, still rides 3rd. The 24 fights up to 15th. It takes the 24 car 10 more laps to wiggle up to 12th. And Truex passes Johnson, pushing him to 4th. The 1 car starts pursuing Kyle for the lead, and with 65 laps to go, Johnson gets 3rd spot back from the 9 car, and increases the money he could win today. It is important today specifically because of a pledge he made, where he will donate the money he wins to the Red Cross in the relief efforts in the California wildfires. The number will also be matched by various people in the sport, tripling the amount. A caution soon comes out for Ryan Newman losing an engine, and pit stops occur with Truex, Kurt, and Kyle leading the race off pit road. The restart with 53 laps left, Gordon up to 8th, his points lead 41. And Johnson starts to fade, falling all the way back to 7th, right in front of Gordon. Jeff races the 48 hard, as at the front, they really start going for it. Truex wants past the 5, but Kyle holds his ground. They steady out, realizing fuel mileage will play a big factor in the finish, and Matt Kenseth takes advantage, having nothing to lose and going for it. Even though he's reportedly 3 laps short, he hasn't slowed his pace, and with 28 laps left, Johnson works up to 5th. Gordon is following him through the field, with Steve telling Jeff to save about a half lap of fuel. But Gordon is fighting a tight race car, which means there will be more fuel burn with the throttle work. Kenseth soon switches to save mode, hoping to get those 3 laps out of the car, and the 5 team are fairly certain they can't make it regardless of what they do. As we work to 13 laps to go, Johnson is now told to save gas, but Jimmy says no. He wants to win. Chad tells him just to go for it, and hopefully build enough of a lead that when he runs out of gas off of turn 4, he'll still win the race. 10 laps to go, and they battle, knowing that probably none of them can make it on fuel. They're almost wrecking one another, and then a caution. Sauter has cut a front tire, and the fuel strategy is out of the window. Everybody comes down pit lane but Denny Hamlin, thinking that they have enough to make it to the finish. A 4-tire stop for Kyle Busch ends in disarray as it drops him way back in the field. And then Johnson takes 2, and it puts him first off pit lane and firmly in control of the race. Kyle is furious, telling Alan Gustafson that not to be mad when this thing comes back wadded up. The decision by Canales wasn't audible. When he saw the 5 crew have an issue, he knew it would drop him deep in the field. And now the only issue of the 48 car is the 99, who took 2 as well. Carl will do anything to stop the Hendrick streak of wins. He needs to, because even if he gets second, a win by the 48 or 24 would eliminate him today. As Hamlin leads the field down, it'll be a 3-lap shootout.
Races since Earnhardt Jr. has gone to victory lane. How hungry is he? Whoops, they stack him up. Coming to the green flag, and all the 31 car has contact in the back of McMurray.
You ran out of gas. You're good. All clear.
Oh, the 11 car's out of gas. He gets hit from behind by the 1 of Truex. He gets nailed. Here comes the 5 car spinning around.
Hamlin ran out of gas, and he's now totaled various cars. One that has spun is Kyle Busch, who needed a great run and misfortune of his teammates to continue today. Instead, he is damaged and way back in the field behind them. This chase was his last chance to win a title for Hendrick, and it came up short. He is now eliminated from the 4th chase. As replay shows Bowyer narrowly missing the 11 car on that restart, Carl preps himself behind Johnson, needing to do what he did before to get his first career victory to beat the 48. Can Carl do it?
Jimmy Johnson down for the green flag, trying to win a chase and trying to run away.
Oh, and Johnson gets a good restart. He gets away from Edwards by about 5 cars. Junior spinning.
Earnhardt Jr. spins up in front of McMurray.
Tire flew off that left rear of the 8 car.
How in the world did that happen? The tire completely fell off the car.
With Dale Jr. crashing from losing his rear tire, Johnson claims victory, putting 4 in a row for Hendrick, and firing back at Gordon's back-to-back with his own. He also officially puts the period on Carl Edwards' chase hopes. Carl, being caught up in others' messes, has not helped his chase. The 99 team have put up a fine chase, but not a phenomenal one, leaving him eliminated from the 4th chase. With 3 races left, 3 chasers remain, all coming to a track that none of them have ever won at. Jeff Gordon has actually been injured here and finished dead last, the only time in his career. Johnson has ran decent here in his career, but bad luck has struck him countless times in the spring race, leaving him susceptible today. Gordon will start the best of them in second, alongside Martin Truex Jr., as we go green on an unseasonably warm day in Texas.
That should all be 500 miles of fun. Glad to have you with us. Sit back and enjoy as the pace truck pulls away. Martin Truex and Jeff Gordon will lead him down. NASCAR fans on their feet as the chase gets underway at Texas Motor Speedway.
As Gordon slips back, the 84 of AJ Allmendinger has issues, nearly getting totaled by Denny Hamlin. He's falling back, and quickly by lap 4, Johnson and Gordon run together in 5th and 6th. They are behind Juan Pablo Montoya, who takes the lead from Truex. Jimmy eventually attacks Gordon, trying to get by him on the high side. After a lap or so, he finally clears the 24. As the two sit 4 points between one another, the race is halted by their first caution. Paul Menard has crashed, and pit stops commence. Johnson takes 4, and Gordon 2. He wins the race out the pit lane and leads on the restart that the broadcast misses. He grabs 5 bonus points and holds the lead till the next caution for Allmendinger, who slaps the fence. The race restarts on lap 23, Gordon over Truex, and in 3 laps, Martin flies past the 24 to take the lead. Truex lasts out front till the next caution for debris. Nobody in the top 10 pits, and the debris is found to come off of the 31 car. The race restarts again on lap 32, and Kurt Busch moves to second and soon starts going after the 1 car for the lead. Gordon rides third till another caution for more debris flying off the 31 car. And everybody comes down pit lane again, except Gordon, who stays out on track. He still wasn't taking left side tires, and he leads in lap 39 restart, having by far the worst tires in the field. Kyle Busch eventually gets up there and blows by the 24, and Jeff is now reporting the car is, quote, super tight. As Kyle disappears, Gordon tries to hold back Harvick off of 2, and by lap 50, Jimmy Johnson is in 21st. He has repeatedly done 4 tire stops, adjusting the car to those conditions, instead of chasing and handling through tire strategy. By lap 60, they're up to 15th, and Dale Jr. passes Gordon for 3rd. Gordon past lap 70 finally comes down pit lane, running that entire length of the race on just 1 set of left side tires. With the cycle starting, Johnson claims an 86-point lead. Jimmy, meanwhile, is 8th, riding well, and the cycle for everybody else finally starts past lap 80. Kyle Busch comes down to lap 83, the leader, and Johnson comes in lap 87. His pit stop is 4 tires at 13.8 seconds, and by the end of the cycle, Gordon reclaims his points lead. He's riding back up in 4th, and Kyle leads past lap 100. With Gordon starting to worry as another pit stop is coming up for them, Dale Jr. has a huge moment off of turn 4, and Jimmy eventually catches and passes Gordon on his old tires. Jeff is reporting that his rear end is worthless, and Johnson reports that he is using as much brake as he does at the short tracks. Eventually another caution is out for J.J. Yaley spinning down the front stretch, and the field pits. Gordon takes out a spring rubber, only losing 2 spots. The field goes back green on lap 123, and the 5 car is gone. As Johnson takes 6th from Harvick, many think that this race might favor Johnson, with how it will end under the lights. The 48 team has perfected the art of adjusting the car through the race and into the night for Charlotte, and today this race will run as that. Eventually we are interrupted by another caution, with a big incident between the 40, 21, and 45. The 40 actually blew a tire and lost a backup track off the apron, involving the 2 other vehicles. As the race restarts again on lap 140, Junior leads them in the 1. Lap cars are 3 wide, and the sun is really beginning to set into the views of the drivers. Kyle Busch eventually flies by before another caution for Reed Sorensen and David Gilliland. Jack Canals is frustrated with these yellows, wanting to actually get some racing in, and feels that Johnson is better on a long run. The race restarts on lap 148, as Kyle leads clearing traffic. The lap cars go 3 wide as Johnson wrestles in 9th, Gordon 16th, worrisome trouble surrounding him. Eventually they both start working through traffic, separated by only 10 points. At the front, the 8 car slips back to 4th. By halfway in the race, Johnson is 8th, Gordon 13th, and through all the shuffling, Ryan Newman has found himself 2nd. Burton battles Mears for 5th by lap 175, and approaching pit stops, Boyer rides 12th. The pit cycle starts with Ryan Newman as Kyle Busch is in by lap 190. And next it's Stewart and Gordon. Boyer stays out and grabs 5 bonus points. And after Clint pits, Ricky Rudd leads the race in his 904th career start. He stays out front, as he has one last ride of glory in his 3rd to last career race. Gordon is running 13th after the cycle, and Johnson's up to 6th. As Rudd pits, Kyle has the lead, but Hamlin wants to take it. He wants redemption for what happened last week, when water was found in the gas of nearly 20 competitors, which caused Hamlin to stall on that last restart. After Hamlin grabs the lead, caution is out for AJ Allmendinger, who pummels the inside wall. Everybody comes down and takes 4 tires, with the only mover being Matt Kenseth, picking up 4 spots. The race restarts with just over 117 laps to go, and the 17 with its new track position is pouncing on the opportunity. Suddenly,
He's good at these races. Oh, spin off at turn 4.
Trouble the 20 car, 38 involved. Harvick gets through.
Off turn 2 a spin was.
See the 25 car of Casey Mears involved.
A little miss right there. I don't know if it was all the turbulent air going on there.
The wreck started directly behind the 24 car, and Jeff with the field wreck behind him comes back down and takes 4 tires to readjust the car. The race restarts on lap 224, and Kenseth, the new race leader, and Johnson, the new points leader by 16 over Gordon, has fought to 4th, and he reports the car is starting to come to life. Another caution stops it though, as Greg Biffle spins through the infield grass. Pit stops ensue, and Gordon and Johnson take 2 tires. Hamlin gets the lead back with 97 to go, and Johnson rides behind in 3rd. Only 5 points separate the front runners in standings. As they race into the night, Bowyer comes down pit lane. They report he has a tire issue, and they change the right sides, reporting that's where the issue came from. He goes back out on track, and then a couple laps later, he comes back down pit lane. It was actually the left side tires, and the double pit has permanently locked Bowyer deep into the field. With that mistake, whilst Johnson and Gordon run well, it's too far. Clint Bowyer made his point though. He did what no other person could do. He kept pace with Hendrick this long. But this mistake has eliminated him from the 4th chase. Matt is charging now, the 2 eliminated chasers racing hard. Johnson from 3rd starts closing. As they race closer and closer, Gordon has now fallen to 12th, and we're under 66 to go. A caution comes out. The yellow is for Denny Hamlin, who messes up and wrecks himself under the 17. Matt does an immaculate job holding on, but Denny needs to go to the garage for damage. Everybody comes in, with Johnson winning the race off, then Kyle 2nd and Kenseth 3rd. With it getting to crunch time and almost everyone having nothing to lose besides 2 men, we go back green. Kyle Busch has an immaculate restart as he retakes the lead. Gordon falls out of the top 10, and Johnson is told they have to save 3 laps of fuel. Suddenly, the 78 blows a tire and almost takes Johnson out. But the next caution is for Greg Biffle, who's aflame as we find out the winning numbers of the Georgia Lottery. With the cleanup, everybody comes in, and the 17 takes 2 tires. Kyle's crew flounders with a 2-tire stop, and Newman wins the race off with 29 laps to go. On the restart, Matt Kenseth spirits to the outside, gets to 12. Johnson meanwhile makes a pass for 4th, and then soon gets 3rd from Truex. Johnson with 23 left is up on the rear of Newman, and it takes only a lap to get to 12. With 17 laps left, the 17 is in Johnson's sights. The opportunity to win 3 in a row, to take a shot across Gordon's bow, saying I'm the man to beat. A shot at championship gold. 13 laps to go, and Kenseth doesn't want to give up the high side. He knows what happened the last time he let the 48 go high on him. It was Vegas 2006. 11 laps to go, and the 2 are setting qualifying laps. We whittle down to 9 laps left, and they approach lap traffic. Johnson mounting his run for the moment, they hit it. And 8 laps to go, and Johnson gets closer, working the high side through turn 4. 7 laps left, and he sails it in. Almost, no. Kenseth rebounds on the top. 6 to go. 2 men, neck and neck. Risk thrown asunder, and Matt 4-wheels it, not losing speed at all off of turn 4. He holds the 48 at check, and now we come down to 5 to go. Johnson has to surrender once again. As we come to 4 laps left, Johnson might only have 1 chance left, one last charge, to finally pass the 17. He cools the tires, perfects the low lane, and he tries it one last time.
Say that, why would he say am I better off to finish 2nd?
I don't know what that means.
Here he comes again, making another run at him. 3 laps to go. Can he hold the bottom of the racetrack? Gotta believe those 2 tires are gonna take an effect on the 17. Here comes Johnson sliding off the border. Like they're dirt tracking at 190 miles an hour. Can Johnson hang there back in the throttle for 48 Jimmy Johnson?
He's just gonna take it right here. He just squeezes Matt Kenseth. You can't quite get him clear.
Unbelievable. These guys are side by side, lap after lap. Johnson's got to be smart. He's got to be smart right here.
Kenseth trying to hang on. Johnson.
Still there. White flag this time by. Still there. Barely.
Oh. Johnson clears him with 2 laps to go. Back in the spring, it was on the white flag that Matt Kenseth got past. Here it's 2 laps to go. Does Kenseth have anything to try to reel him back in?
Boy, it's going to be tough right now.
Oh, look at Chad Canales. Is he loving that pass or what? By the way, Jeff Gordon in 7th position.
Boy, I mean, right now, Jimmy Johnson's last lap, 0.4 of a second faster than Matt Kenseth. He's got that clean air, and now he's out of here.
You're never going to see it any better than that right there.
All I could have done was wreck him, Robbie. Wreck myself. Believe me, I couldn't do anything else.
Jimmy Johnson came here 9 points out of the lead. He came to a track where he had never won a Cup race. But Jimmy Johnson has driven the wheels off his Chevy, and he will win at Texas Motor Speedway.
The 48 has won 3 in a row, and Gordon finishes 7th. Johnson may not have the top 10s, but he has the dominance, the high performance, the points lead with 2 races to go. The desert is the penultimate race. One last opportunity for Jeff Gordon to gain on Johnson, who has been on a tear. He starts 6th today, 3 spots behind Gordon, who is 3rd on grid. Carl Edwards and Martin Truex Jr. sit on the pole, as the sun already proves to be an issue for the drivers. With just over 700 miles left in 2007, we go green in the desert.
Get closer to crowning a champion. Could it happen today? Could it be a big change today? Green flag waves as Carl Edwards moves into turn 1.
Immediately, Carl holds a lead, and Johnson passes Yaley for 4th. Carl runs away as Jimmy and Jeff find each other again. The gap sits at 25 points, and quickly Jimmy passes the 24. Jeff is a tad loose, and Kyle Busch, 23 laps in, has gained 19 spots from the back. As JJ Yaley starts attacking the 24 of Jeff Gordon, caution is out for the 38 spun. Under pit stops, Boyer takes 2 and gains 13 spots, and Edwards holds the lead over Newman, who also took 2. The race restarts on lap 28, Truex attacking along with Johnson. Jimmy gets Newman and Gordon gets Boyer, as the race progresses past lap 57. Carl starts lapping cars, as Gordon is 4th and Johnson 3rd. Rick Hendrick stands in the pits, refusing to put his hand on this battle, but he also holds his breath, knowing what could possibly happen. Truex eventually closes in on the 99 and pursues him past lap 80. Boyer fades to 8th, as Kenseth sneaks to 7th, and as Kyle Busch works to 13th, caution is out for debris. Everybody comes down with Gordon complaining drive off, and Truex wins the race off pit lane. The broadcast misses the restart, and the 1 has disappeared from the field. Gordon is on the edge of a storm as Johnson tries to run away from it. Caution is out eventually for a crashed Joe Nemechek. The race restarts again on lap 101. Carl goes under Truex as Gordon is under attack from Kurt Busch, and the 2 has a moment with him. Back at the front, the 99 suddenly comes down the pit lane. He is blown up. Another heartbreak for Edwards, similar to what happened to him at Richmond. Afterwards, another caution for debris comes out, and Truex is now leading over Jimmy Johnson. Newman is 3rd on lap 111, and Gordon and Ryan battle, Jeff eventually clearing. Eventually another caution comes out for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is smashed, and leaders come down pit road with nothing at the front changing. The race restarts at lap 124, and Truex tries to run from Johnson. In the pack, Gordon is off sequence with strategy, and makes contact with the 42 in the right rear. Eventually the 27 at Jacques Villeneuve crashes and the leaders come down again. The top 9 stay out, with Gordon moving up to 9th. His strategy starting to work out. And now with Kenseth leading, the race restarts on lap 143. Immediately lappers wreak havoc, and Jimmy is caught 3 wide with lappers and working back up to 7th. Caution comes out again for Casey Kane, who pummels the wall with an overcorrection, and the race restarts again on lap 154. David Reagan through the opening phases about takes Gordon out when he loses the nose, and Jeff starts bearing down on the 40 car, and Johnson starts chasing them both down. He passes Biffle, and it becomes cat and mouse, as Jeff is trying to get the lead before Johnson catches him, and the 48 takes those 5 bonus points. He flies up to the rear end of David Stremme and passes him in an instant, and now Gordon is in Johnson's sights. Approaching 170 laps into this race, Johnson goes low on Jeff, and the 2 race super close, the 24 not giving an inch, the close friends racing inches apart. And finally, Johnson clears. He will have to make up a 4-second gap to Matt Kenseth in order to get his 5 bonus points, and the challenge is erased when Matt suddenly pits. He runs out of fuel almost, and now the 48 controls the pace of the race by lap 198. Around this time, Jeff Gordon has to come in, and it's the start of the long pit cycle. With about 107 laps to go, Jeff Gordon sits in a dangerous limbo. He pitted on the very early part of the cycle, meaning he's going to have about 10 to 15 laps, where if a caution comes out, he could be trapped a lap down. He starts racing with Greg Biffle, who is suddenly showing pace faster than almost anybody on track. With 100 laps to go, he passes Jeff, and now Jimmy is looking at his final stop. Martin Truex Jr. takes the lead, as he pits a couple laps later. Reed Sorensen becomes the leader, and around 80 laps left, the cycle finishes up. Matt Kenseth is back out front, and he gets locked there with a caution, as Dave Blaney has issues. Pit stops under caution ensue, with both chasers taking 4 tires, and they lose 4 spots and 3 spots respectively. Tony Stewart is one of the people who takes 2 tires, and with 73 laps to go, Newman leads. But Kenseth is on the attack. They race hard, with the 12 being told to save fuel, and finally, the 17 reclaims the lead. Another caution for Joe Nemechek slows the pace once again, and now with 65 to go, Kenseth leads over Stewart. Gordon is in yet another hornet's nest, 43 points behind Johnson, and under 50 to go, he gets minor fender damage in a collision with Kevin Harvick. The damage that he gets resembles Tony Stewart's earlier incident this year at Kansas, and with the tire getting ready to blow at any second, the crew hold their breaths until they are relieved by a caution for debris. And it's an actual piece of debris, a huge piece of metal. And now Gordon pits taking 4, and need to put on a recovery drive with only 39 laps left. Truex takes the lead through strategy, as a ton of traffic wreaks havoc. Jeff fights for 12th, as Johnson fights for 2nd with Matt Kenseth. The two drive like madmen through lap traffic, similar to last week. And with 31 left, the gap is 73. They race to the 01 car, and Johnson works under both the 01 and 17, going for the 2nd place spot. It slows Matt, and the 48 now has a clean shot of the leader Martin Truex Jr. with under 25 to go. He gets there, and he nudges the 1 car, getting the lead in the process. The 17 and 20 try catching up, but the real challenge now comes in the form of Greg Biffle. Gordon works in the 10th, as Johnson tries the run from Biffle, as this win could send him to 4 in a row. With this being possibly his 4th consecutive victory, it would also be his 10th win of 2007. Both accomplishments that have not been seen since Jeff Gordon did it in 1998, a year where Gordon also went back-to-back in titles. Under 10 to go, and Biffle keeps chasing. They run identical lap times, but Jimmy Johnson is in the zone.
Significant points lead with 1 race to go. White flag for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson off of turn 2, trying to do what hasn't been done since 1998, trying to win 4 in a row, as Johnson takes it down less than half a lap away from the checkered flag.
Dude, you are incredible. Awesome job today. Good job. Boys, I love you, man. God, you're awesome. You give me something to race every week. Thank you.
Gordon claims his record 29th top 10 of the season, whilst Johnson claims his 10th win, and the gap is 86. Heading to Homestead, a margin a month ago Jeff Gordon never thought would happen. And it's been 6 wins in a row for Hendrick now, and regardless of what happens in 7 days, Rick Hendrick will walk out champion. The opening promo for this race is done by Nicolas Cage in a cowboy hat, hyping up what would be the last race of the Gen 4 era. As Johnson comes in winning 4 in a row, Greg Biffle at Homestead has won 3 in a row, and Jeff Gordon sits 86 points back, 10 spots behind Johnson, who is on the pole for the race, and it'll give him the stall at the end of pit lane. With 400 miles to go, we take the final Gen 4, the final 2007, and the final green of the 4th chase.
And the fire in the belly to win his 5th championship. Star-studded field. Final race of the year. 7 former Cup champions, 5 former Homestead winners, and 2 Indy 500 champions as the green flag waves at Homestead, Miami.
Johnson clears and leads lap 1, and Newman takes it back immediately, and then Kenseth is back to second. Jeff immediately starts working on the outside, and Matt Kenseth eventually takes the lead on lap 4. As Burton slips up and hits the wall, Gordon eventually gets to the 8th place spot, with Johnson chasing Newman back down. Eventually Casey Kane chases Johnson down, as Kurt screams past the 48 as well. Jimmy slips back to 4th, with Gordon battling Stewart now for 5th. Johnson falls back further, with Truex passing him, and soon the gap is 96. Gordon and Stewart both chase down Johnson, and Stewart passes by the 48. Eventually the 24 gets him as well, and the gap now goes down to 87. Finally, the first stops of the day begin, with Matt Kenseth putting up a 12.7 second stop, and then Johnson comes in, and he takes 4 as well. Suddenly a caution mid-cycle, and it's due to Dale Jr. spinning. Gordon had also come in already, leaving both championship competitors trapped a lap down. On the replay, it's apparent that Jr. just blew pit entry, and he cut right into Kyle Busch's path. During pit stops under this caution, the 41 car had a jack stuck under it, and the car spit it out at an outrageous speed towards pit crewmen. Finally, the green flag comes back out in lap 57, before immediately another caution comes out, and it's for Dale Jr. His car is totaled, and it's due to Jeff Burton dumping him due to not seeing him because he was blinded by the sun in the turn 1. The quick yellow gets all the people trapped a lap down back on the lead lap, and as Kenseth leads, the gap sits at 85. The race restarts on lap 63, Kurt battling Kenseth and completing the pass. Eventually another caution comes out for Paul Menard, who just lost it, and pit stops commence. Gordon taking 2 and coming out second. Johnson takes 4, and he's now in a crowd. The race restarts on lap 81, with Burton laps down racing leaders. The gap is 57, and Johnson fights in 13th. Kenseth attacks Hamlin for the lead meanwhile, and Gordon plummets to 8th, and Jimmy slips up to 11th, making the points gap 75. Kurt, meanwhile, does a throwback to 3 years ago, complaining of a loose wheel and pitting. Eventually Johnson races Gordon for 8th, and soon another cycle of stops start on lap 126. Kenseth comes in on lap 130, and Newman takes over the lead at the front. Eventually Johnson and Gordon pit, and Stewart is in as well. He gives Casey Mears the lead, and by halfway, it cycles all back out to Kenseth leading again. Gordon charges up to 7th, and then there's a caution for Ryan Newman spinning right in front of Gordon. The 24 has a way too close call, and under pit stops, Gordon gains a spot, as Matt reports he has lost the battery, but he takes 2 along with Boyer and Hamlin. The race restarts again on lap 153, and Matt is gone again. They race 3 separate lanes, and Johnson fights back up to 9th. The gap is now 69 points as caution comes out for a big incident between Sauter and Brian Vickers. Scott Riggs in the checkup dumped the 83, and they eventually crashed down to where the 70 was stopped. And now the race restarts on lap 163, Kenseth leading and fighting up to 8th, and we have now officially entered the final 100 laps of the season. The 38 gets into the wall hard as Montoya dumps him on accident, and Hamlin now leads, but it's short-lived as Kenseth fights back by with 89 to go. Truex soon passes Gordon for position, making it with 77 laps to go, 73 points. Caution eventually does come out for Sam Hornish Jr., and everybody pits again, Kenseth now having a 12.5 second stop. We head back green with 70 laps to go, and they go 3 wide, and it's tight. Truex wants by the 17, and he sets the fastest lap of the race. They still keep racing, under 60 to go, and Truex finally fades back, and now Gordon attacks him. Instead of Gordon actually passing the 1, Kurt passes under Gordon, and now Johnson marches up to 6th. As the pace calms, the cars space back out, and finality starts to set in. Everything appears all calm in the Florida night, but pit stops thunder the Miami dusk alive. Gordon is in with 25 laps left, then Kenseth, Johnson, and David Reagan. Under 20 laps left, it's 87 points and the cycle is over. Johnson comes out 7th, Gordon 6th. Everything stays quiet until...
When this race is over.
Caution, Tony Stewart, issues on the racetrack with the 20 car.
Whoa, man, he's hit just hard. He's hit hard here. Tore the whole back end off of it, the left side.
Here, see if we can fix it now.
Tony Stewart has crashed, and some pit in the back, preparing themselves for the final 9-lap shootout to end the 2007 season. Can Matt Kenseth win? Can Jimmie Johnson hold on to a sturdy yet fragile point lead? We're about to find out. Here we go.
We told you that he had a battery issue. Does he have the voltage? He's worried about some brake fluid. Can he hang on for 10 more laps? Green flag. Kenseth leads him down. Truex Jr. there. Kurt Busch making a move with a dodge on the inside for second spot.
Kurt Busch in his 2 car had the fastest car on the track before that caution came out.
And man, he has just blew past everybody. Kenseth's got a good start, but Kurt Busch is flying right now.
Jeff is digging, chipping the points lead down to 77. And Kurt is also pursuing after Kenseth. He tries his best to close in as much as he can, but as we come to 2 laps to go, it's beginning to come to an end. The season, the clarity of the chase picture.
We watched him all year long, Andy. I think he's going to go for it. What do you think? I mean, he's on that bottom.
He'll take it if it's there, but he's not going to push the issue.
Wasn't going to back into a championship. You see wife Shanny sitting there right side watching, not really wanting to watch. Chandra, Jimmy's wife, watching, hoping, and probably wondering about all the discussions they've had the last few weeks.
All right, white flag, last lap, guys. It's been a long year.
Jimmie Johnson in 7th position, trying to battle to get in the 6th spot. Up front, Matt Kenseth, dominant performance by the Wisconsin driver in the final ride with Robbie Reiser, his longtime friend and crew chief atop the box. Reiser will bid farewell and become general manager at Roush Fenway. But what a way to go out as Kenseth comes out of turn 4, and Matt Kenseth will win the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Oh, the emotion now. Chad Canals.
Phenomenal. You guys are awesome. Thank you, boys. We're going to tear it up tonight.
Nothing like back-to-back championship.
And you could see the emotion just pour out in the face of Chandra there. Chandra Johnson, Jimmy's wife, and now Jimmy can put the net down, take a deep breath, because he has done it, folks.
Thank you to everybody on the 24 team, Team Leclerc.
Oh, there's the hug. Chad Canals, oh my gosh, what a family in this Hendrick Motorsports team. And look there, they're the 2 drivers.
86-point lead, but you never know until it's completely over and it's finally done.
Guys, you're off.
There you go. Chad Canals, thank you, everyone. Fantastic. Well tonight.
Celebration will begin. The last driver to win back-to-back championships was Jeff Gordon in 97 and 98, and now double burnouts. Matt Kenseth takes the win in dominant fashion, and Jimmie Johnson becomes the champion for the 2nd year in a row.
Chad Canals getting probably the hug for the man who appreciates it most, Rick Hendrick, car owner. Chad, last year was an accomplishment for the whole 48 team, actually for the whole organization. What does it mean to repeat?
Man, I don't know. Still hasn't hit me yet. It's a testament to these guys and everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and what they do and the preparation that goes into what happens with our race cars, with our engines, with our chassis. I mean, just everything. It was such a difficult season for everybody with the COT and the development of that car and that chassis, and then obviously with General Motors and NASCAR bringing out the R07 for the Chevrolet teams, it was even more difficult for us. And the guys in the engine shop just did a great job, Jim Wall and Jeff Andrews, of getting those engines out there for us and making it to where they would live and build great power. So I just don't, I mean, I'm beside myself, I'll be quite honest. It's a great day, it's a great feeling, and man, I can't wait for Daytona.
Johnson has won 2 chases, back to back, toppling the Titan.